It's because I was an American who was brought up in the 60s, born in the 50s, brought up in the 60s. I saw the devastations being done to certain communities in the 60s, specifically the African American community. I went to Watts in 1965. As a little kid, my dad took me out to Watts in August of 65. So this has been a priority for me personally forever. Enfield needs to be in the high value-added activities, low-skilled jobs, retail, they come and go, but if you can, we're as smart as anybody else, and if we can gear our educational systems to getting kids into, to find their inner computer programmer, then we can create a whole new industry. Take kids, let them find their inner nerd, their inner genius, teach them coding. Some of them will start to write algorithms, they'll start to write apps. It's real easy to start up a company, Des Johnson and Enterprise Enfield, they can do that, and lo and behold, Enfield will start to have little small, 1-person, 2-person, 3-person computer companies. And we're quite sure we can do a lot of that. All you have to do is get kids together. We want people to learn, we want them to start companies, and we want them to make money. But we got to talk about ensuring that the kids of Edmonton, and let's be specific, that the black kids of Edmonton participate in that training program and get a chance to get computer lessons, programming lessons, get help with starting their own little companies, 1-person, 3-person companies. We started talking to certain companies in the hope that these companies will support this, because think of it, we're talking about finding, geniuses who haven't had the support. And with a little bit of support, they're going to be starting up businesses. Everybody will make money. We need to ensure that covers the Edmonton community. Now, if that means locating premises in Edmonton, okay.
As I said, I'm from the Black Training Enterprise Group, which is a national charity. It was set up in 1996. But I'm particularly here today to talk to you about unemployment and the issues that we address through the organisation. So the employment rate for young black men is double. From 2012, 2013, 2014 is still double the rate of their white counterparts. Most of the young people who we held the focus groups with particularly said that the reasons they found that they weren't getting into employment was because of racism and discrimination. Kind of looking at the JSA claimants, so the DWP does not publish data to show where people go when they come off JSA. So we don't know whether they are actually going into employment or whether they're just stop claiming. And an initial look at the sanctions data suggests that JSA claimants from black ethnic groups are more likely than other ethnic groups actually to receive sanctions. And across London, the proportion of young male JSA claimants who are black remain constant at around 28%. And this compares with 16% of young males in London who are black. The proportion of young people starting an apprenticeship in London who are black has increased in each year to 2011, 2012, but declined from 2011 to 2012, 2013. So 59.3% of the black people who started apprenticeships in 2012, 2013 were over 25, but you're finding that the younger people between 16 to 24 are not starting apprenticeships as much, although for the older black males, they're taking up apprenticeships much more than actually white older males. For the younger population, this is not the case. So it's about looking at why that is and what we can actually do to increase the apprenticeship rates of young black males in particular. A bit of information about Enfield there. So the government does not routinely publish statistics on unemployment rates by ethnicity, gender and age group. So it wasn't easy to track the unemployment rate for young black men. However, information and data from an up-to-date unemployment rates by the ethnic group from the annual population survey, so this is from that particular survey, shows that young black male unemployment rate in 2011 in Enfield census was 39.9%, and it was actually higher for black Africans at 42.9%, compared with their white counterparts, which was actually 23.3%. And then again, you can see for Enfield in April 2014 to March 2015, a high unemployment rate again for young black males at 16%, and for actually white males was just 4.7%. There is clearly an issue in Enfield with black male unemployment, which needs to be addressed. But how can we tackle BME youth unemployment in Edmonton? This is why we're here to discuss kind of the ways forward and what we can do to help young BME people gain employment. So some of the things, as I said, that we do, we have lots of different projects that we use to try and equip young people with the skills to gain employment. And I think, as Colin referred to earlier, it's a holistic approach that you have to take. So it's not just about equipping them with skills like CV writing, but it's looking at the big picture, because lots of young people have issues that stop them from actually achieving employment not because they're not necessarily equipped with how to write a CV, but it's other factors also. So maybe they do need people like mentors or role models in their lives. So again, I'm just going to explain a bit more about some of the projects that we do, and maybe you can think about whether you can build that into anything that's happening in Edmonton at the moment. But as I said, one of the programs that we do is called Reach to Success. I manage that particular program. It's a 3-year program which is funded by the Big Lottery and Monument Trust, and our particular focus is young black males of African, Caribbean and mixed backgrounds, and providing them with role models who they can actually refer to and look up to, and gain advice and support in all kind of areas. So we have a volunteer force of black male professional role models, and all of those, we chose those role models because when we did the research beforehand, most of the young boys were saying that they felt that they didn't have anybody to look up to who was from a similar background to themselves. So they were saying there were people in the media that they saw that were doing really well for themselves, but they didn't have anybody they could talk to like on a day-to-day basis.
So just to very briefly introduce myself, my name is Joshua Wiley. As I said, I'm the founder of a company called Superlative Youth, and our mission really is to enable apprentices to maximise the opportunity. How can a young person who gets on an apprenticeship really get in and go far? How can you really make it something that's more than just this vocational educational opportunity I've been given? I grew up in Hackney and I was influenced a lot by gangs, but a lot by older guys who are pretty much running around the streets, getting involved with knife crime, robbery, a lot of messed up stuff. And at that prudent age of 15, my show me and I do was going out on the streets and running amok with my friends. So when I say show me and I do, I think I can literally in hindsight reflect back and say some of the major decisions in my life have been show me I do. So I was expelled from school at 15, through a lot of various influences that were going on at the time, and I managed to get myself back into education at 16, and that was because I found an older black mentor. So a pastor of a church decided to take me under his wing, and he really helped me change my life. He helped me get out of the gang crime. He helped me, get myself back into college. And for a young man who didn't grow up with, a great set of role models around me or a strong fatherly presence, he became my father. And for me, that was probably the most significant change that another person has given me. And he taught me how to be driven, he taught me to wake up early in the morning, right? He used to, he gave me responsibility. He used to get me to open this door at 6 o'clock in the morning when I was about 17 years old, and if I didn't do it, I'd get an absolute shattering from him. So I was educated by this man and what it meant to not only be successful and to aspire, but what it meant to actually have a positive ambition. And I'll never forget seeing this poster on the wall, and it spoke about Microsoft apprenticeships. And for me, it literally just caught me out of the blue. I thought, oh wow, I don't really want to go to university personally. What's this apprenticeship thing about? And the biggest shock factor for me was that when I went online and Googled what an apprenticeship was, I was flooded with videos of these young kids who are 2 years, 1 year older than me, speaking about how they had secured a full-time job, how they had a fantastic career ahead of them, how they had all these internationally recognized qualifications, and they had really been given a career path. So at 18 years of age, I got an apprenticeship with a company called eCourier, and I spent the total time of about 2.5 years, but the experience that I found within that time was phenomenal. So within the first 6 months of me doing this apprenticeship, I was fortunate enough to win this award, which was the Microsoft Apprenticeship of the Year award. So I came runners up in that award, was brought out to the House of Commons, got to meet all these other apprentices, and I managed to go home with a nice tablet to go home and show my parents. And got myself a job, all of my past stories now suddenly didn't matter, because here I was being offered an opportunity to, get a real job with this company, despite, the company didn't even care the fact I was kicked out of school. All of my lack of GCSEs or non-interest in GCSEs, suddenly evaporated when I was given this opportunity to do an apprenticeship. So that was a major turning point in my life. In reflection, it really taught me something, because it really showed me that apprenticeships are really limitless. And when I hear, the statistics about there's only been a 1% uptake in Edmonton, for me it was pretty heartbreaking. Because if you look at my, career journey, so to speak, it's pretty low turmoil when there's a sudden upsurge, and it's really because of this apprenticeship scheme. So the fact that there's only been a 1% succession rate within the borough, for me it hurts. And especially the fact when I think about, I lived in this borough for a season of my life. I could have been, within that demographic that struggled to get an apprenticeship simply because of the borough that I was from, and I'm fortunate that I moved in some respects. But it's it's pretty painful, because I lived here. Right? I could have been, within that that we didn't manage to get on that apprenticeship, very small percentage.
My name's Anthony. I run a business in Shoreditch called Optimity. We're based in Shoreditch, and lots of our clients are tech businesses. So we're doing some new technology in the tech sector, and so we're growing very, very quickly. Lots of people think Tech City is just that area, that immediate area in Shoreditch around the old street roundabout. And actually it's a much larger area than this idea of Tech City stretches all the way down to Lambeth and Elephant Castle, down in the south west, kind of up to, where's this? Up around King's Cross. Lots happening around King's Cross at the moment. Google announced 12 months ago that they were moving their European headquarters to the redevelopment site behind King's Cross. So this area is going to become very, very tech. So this notion that Tech City is this very small area around Clerkenwell and Shoreditch actually isn't the case. If you talk to the government agency that's called Tech City, they actually see Tech City in London being this much broader description of technology businesses. So the tech sector is growing 4 times faster than the rest of the UK economy. I think the stats say 11% as opposed to 2.6% for the rest of the economy. This is the number of new jobs the tech sector is going to require. New jobs the tech sector is going to require by 2020. And this number keeps going up. I was at a presentation by the Tech Partnership the other week, and they were talking about 500,000 new tech jobs required in the UK by 2020. And I think just here it's a really important point to mention. When you talk about the tech sector, very often, we think of people doing coding. Actually, the tech sector is much, much broader than that. And actually the thing that's happening in the tech sector at the moment is that all London's businesses are digitising. Every business in London is becoming a tech business, technology, and I think that is one feature of the London economy, is that actually the sector, the whole economy is going digital. And that fuels the job opportunities beyond people, because it's not, I would argue the point that was made earlier on about tech being all about coding. Actually, tech is a much broader sector than that, and the opportunities are much, much broader. Another great statistic is 85% of businesses say that they have a shortage of technology skills, and if we don't have a talent pipeline available, then actually the tech sector in London is at risk. And yet, at the same time, there is a huge problem with youth unemployment. We heard this morning the stats for Edmonton. Things shouldn't exist. You shouldn't have huge skill shortages coexisting with high levels of unemployment. And we started getting involved with apprenticeships About 3 years ago, we were involved with the Microsoft apprenticeship program that Josh was part of, and it was very good. But the big challenge that we had was that as an organisation, it didn't quite meet our requirements. What was being taught in apprenticeships wasn't quite right for the skills that we needed in our organisation. So we took it upon ourselves to change that. And we recognised that it wasn't just us that was having that problem with recruiting young people into our organisations. It was in fact that whole community around us in Tech City that were encountering the same issues. You know, they were growing very fast, they needed skills within their organisations, and they just couldn't find the skills. And that starts to account for this issue of wealth generation in the tech sector coexisting with high levels of youth unemployment. You know, I was always surprised that, you know, in Shoreditch, where we are, you can be on one side of Great Eastern Street, and you know, there's you know, all the office spaces are crammed with technology businesses, and then on the other side of Great Eastern Street, you've got large housing estates where young people aspire to get a job in the Tesco's Metro, and they have no idea that literally on the other side of the road there are all these opportunities available to them.